And that's just how we do it.
I am dead inside.
The Proud Family Louder and Prouder has released on Disney Plus today with 2 episodes. The show is a continuation of the cartoon from the 2000s that lasted for 2 seasons. So this is primed to be Disney's big revamp of the show, now subtitled Louder and Prouder. Now real quick, I want you to know my perspective on this. The Proud Family is not something that was part of my youth. My childhood looked kind of like this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Yeah, you probably don't know that last one. Of course, I watched some of the...
No, I don't, and I relate with him on that. Okay. Sorry, I had to talk with someone about that. Yeah, I'm the same with him. I didn't grow up with it when I was younger either. I kind of watched it on Disney Plus, and man, it is a good show. It really does subvert expectations with how the show is unique. Not everyone wins in an episode, and most episodes have morals, you know, the classic Disney stuff. But also how it was known as progressive because it had a minority and a female as the main lead of the show, and they did lots of episodes that were progressive, like the commonly known Martin Luther King episode, I Had a Dream, episode 14 of season 1, and the Altos with how it dealt with Sticky's divorce issues in a way, with how he was acting out of character, you know. But let's continue. And hold on, I have to go fetch something.
The original Proud Family. When Disney Plus announced this show, I was curious what the fuzz was all about. And yeah, I think they're quite decent cartoons with genuinely charming humor. The quips are strong with the original Proud Family, I gotta say. Is this new iteration capturing that same wittiness? Do I recommend watching it? Or has it been too late for Disney to revive this sleeping beast? Well, let's talk about it. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is a little late because it just came out a month ago and episode 8's out, but like we're going to be reviewing all of them in this one stream. But yeah, the show currently is kind of rocky. Proud Family is a strange and interesting note because the show got canceled not because of dying rates or anything, but because Disney simply just wanted to stop funding it, and so they just ended it. And thus it's one of the rare shows to, you know, come back.
Hello fellow Disney Plus watcher, I'm excited to talk about Disney Plus with you today. New here? Why not click these 2 buttons if you love Disney Plus as much as I do? Welcome. Don't really worry too much about spoilers. I'll talk a bit about the premises of these 2 episodes and some themes and ideas that are in it, but I won't be all that specific this time around. It's the premiere, so I just want to give you some reasons why you should or definitely should not watch this show. I think Proud Family Louder and Prouder is one of the most obnoxious, insincere, and unfunny cartoons I watched in a long while. And hey, I like ridiculous cartoons.
Yeah, if you know anything about the jokes in the first episode, they're not really funny, and most of them don't even make sense because in the first episode, Penny becomes, well, older because of some magic dust or something. And I'm pretty sure it's not an allegory or symbolism because everyone gets affected by it in her friend group, and everyone just acts like it's normal or something. Even though she like grew 18 feet taller overnight, not literal in a sense, you know, but still, you'll see the more we get into this.
That don't make sense or are hyperactively bonkers. SpongeBob is essentially the weirdest premise ever.
The main character, the sponge, works at a sea restaurant that sells hamburgers. Jackson, that doesn't make any sense. How's he gonna make burgers under fucking water?
But that show is still...
Yeah, and the thing is, the reason SpongeBob gets a pass is because it's a wacky, cartoonish show. Like, obviously, it doesn't make sense, and the joke is that half of the things they do shouldn't even happen underwater, like fires and stuff. Because the show's basically Looney Tunes-like. But with Proud Family, it's more grounded in story centric. So when they introduce stuff like they do in SpongeBob with all that wacky stuff, it makes no sense. It goes against a lot of rules they set in the universe because Proud Family is supposed to be realistic. And with Louder and Prouder, they take it to a whole nother level of just non-grounded, and they just have their heads up in the air a lot.
Still weirdly iconic and quite hilarious actually. Good friend of mine showed me some episodes of Rocko's Modern Life recently. That stuff is so completely nonsensical, but you can tell the creators of that cartoon had so much fun. It just works.
Look into the nipples of the future.
And the point
Why? I really didn't want to see that, and now I'm gonna have to bleach my eyes after this.
I'm gonna make here is that the Proud Family Louder and Prouder also doesn't make sense and is a show that has weird cutscenes like a panda performing a pop song about his life in an episode that's only revolving around him for 2 minutes like a tacked on thing. Now random shizzle can work, but sorry, the showrunners of this series seem to have, in my opinion, no sense of humor. And I'm giggling the whole way through an episode of the original Proud Family, but this? Like, this was my face through the whole run. I'm not kidding or exaggerating. Oh, and you know how in cartoons people seem to never get older? Or in general, how the process of age doesn't have to add up or make sense because it's just a cartoon? Then why does the premiere episode do something completely unnecessarily confusing and lame to explain why Penny and her friends have aged, while the family around her hasn't? Yes, I'm only gonna spoil the very first scene here. To soften the blow for you all who didn't see the show yet, Penny actually wakes up years older and has to learn how to walk again and to adjust because of some stardust. Yes, literally stardust. Now it's just
See?
a setup with nothing to it, because after 5 minutes their new life phase doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. Yes, granted, the first episode is about accepting change in life, growing up, being embarrassed about puberty and how we look and our appearances, all that. And we do see Penny's father Oscar have issues with her daughter growing up, but those themes don't hinge on some magic spell in the first scene of the
Exactly. Also, I like how that referenced Penny playing football in this poster and Dejanay being a cheerleader back in the original. But yeah, aside from that, why couldn't they just have her be normal like normal? They didn't need to introduce this dumb magic dust or something. Like, there is literally no reason why they had to do that. Like, are their heads really up in Looney Tunes? Like, what type of writers are they hiring? Like...
episode to explain why Penny's now older. Why isn't Penny just older? Because she's just older. Cartoons are timeless. Let's just leave the rest of the characters as they are.
Also, mind to add, Penny's 17 in the show, and she's still in middle school. I don't know if that's supposed to be a joke, because in the original she was 14 and still in middle school. Why did I say musical? But I just gave it a pass because, you know, maybe at her place they allow 14 to still be in middle school and not high school. But she's 17 now and she's still in middle school if you watch the show. It's ridiculous.
Nobody's complaining. Age discrepancies don't matter in cartoons. Now, without giving the story itself away, the second episode does have something to say about the dangers of cancel culture, which I appreciate, how we can all lose ourselves in the process of trying to stay in line with narratives, artificially creating a precedent for what to care about, media-prescribed brainwashing.
Yeah, the second was pretty good. I liked how it talked about how people can be blinded by popular influencers because, yeah, they can a lot. Mr. Beast. Yeah, and a lot of other people who just have a lot of influence, and how most people who are not as powerful as them, subscriber-wise and influence-wise, can get crushed and just told to, you know, go off if they ever talk against the higher-ups, you know? Like in the episode, Maya and other people tell Penny that she's awful and stuff because she keeps manipulating people into doing what she likes. But since she has like 500,000 followers, I think, in the episode, the people who talk against her have like 20 or something. Their opinions don't matter because they just don't have the amount of influence, which is true today because It really just matters how much people you have following you these days. If you want to have people believe you, which is sad, but it's just how it is currently.
On what to think and who to censor. Now, what does that remind me of? Oh, yeah, that. No, wait, not.
I hate that term. It's another stupid internet term that just came into being.
To rock anyone's boat. I don't see wokeness as an inherently bad thing. Being woke actually started out as something noble to strive for, but it's since been merely a tool for emotional manipulation and self-victimization. I mean, a state of intellectual superiority born from
Yeah, I can see how that happened looking at its description. Really? Are you serious? I mean, in a sense, you could be intellectually superior, but most people who would say that or use the term would act all high and mighty and act like they're more important than everyone.
From political and social awareness says it all. Wokeness is a fine line between caring about social issues, which can't really be a bad thing, and feeling.
Yeah, like this show right now. It's basically saying if you don't vote for, I don't know, it's kind of vague, but if saying if you don't vote for this thing or person, you're idiot and you're dumb. Which, yeah, that happens when a lot of people misuse a word that was meant to be noble. It's sad. Like feminism, it used to be about having women equal as men and, but now it's just basically women trying to be superior to men nowadays. And I'm not like that. I want everyone to be equal, race, gender, and all that, but it's just sad how also that got basically corrupted into a term that's negative now.
Feeling morally superior. I actually find it quite hilarious that the second episode has a story that's about the painful nature and effects.
Especially if you've seen many TikTok videos about of women just hating on men.
That the current woke culture has on society. Really, watch the episode.
Okay, this is the last pause on that. And basically vice versa on the comments with men striking back, which you shouldn't do that. You should just explain why men being awful and women being awful isn't the case, because I believe everyone should be equal, but that angers people and causes them to strike back with more stereotypes and negativity when you say stuff like that and make TikToks or videos about that. Just saying. But again, back to Louder and Prouder.
So let's talk about it. It's what I take away from it, at least, and I really believe that's what it's about. And the first episode tries to make a point in the description that woke just means being yourself and standing up for yourself. Because that's the point of the episode itself, of the whole episode. It has nothing to do with racial injustice, societal issues, nothing. But
they most likely use the word just to be hit with the kids or to get lots of people to see it, because, that's a big term.
Description says that Penny tries to prove that she's woke? What? And hey, for anyone feeling triggered right now, I know wokeness is a nuanced thing. I'm just pointing out the pros and cons of this show going in that direction and the fuzzy nature of that term. It looks like this show thematically critiques wokeness, but then also says their main character is woke for being herself. It's so weird. Other than the completely unnecessary beginning of the show, the extremely frantic and annoying humor.
Why's my grandbaby dressed like Darth Vader?
Like Dejanay is charming in the original Proud Family. Here she's the most annoying cartoon I could ever imagine seeing on screen. And the confusing handling of wokeness as a concept, I don't have much to say about this quite abominable show so far. The second episode is a little bit more interesting, even if it's just as annoying in nature. The animation is quite cool though, and maybe even an improvement on the original Proud Family. It still uses the textured backgrounds and pointy faces and all that, just that style is there. I'm not sure if I'm doing breakdowns week per week every episode. I have to wait and see if there's anything else to take away from it every week. If I do it, I'll definitely go more in depth into spoilers about the plots of these cartoons. Maybe that'll be loads of fun. I'll try to take away the themes of it. And if I do, I promise you, I'm striving to find the charming things about the show. I know it's not made for me, and I try to see it through that lens. So far, that's really hard because the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, is so far quite unbearable in my opinion. I'm thinking about wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching. Speaking of cartoons, if you're interested in my thoughts and breakdown of the
Yeah, and that's basically it for this one. Yeah, how I feel about the first two episodes is basically what he said. and I gave my pointers about it. Again, it has potential, but the show relies too much on politics and popular things in social media to get its audience, instead of going in depth on plots in the episode and story, and focusing way more on Looney Tune-esque jokes than, the nice banter they had back in the original show. Like, if you watch it, literally, if you have Disney Plus, you should. Like, the jokes are hilarious, and I've laughed a lot. But now, we're going to go on episode 3 and react and review that one.
Now this show
This guy's
just got
edits.
way better.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
That's going to change as later episodes happen, but yeah, when the 3rd episode came out, everyone thought the show would come towards a high point. How quickly times change.
Everybody stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
So maybe some of you know that I wasn't a fan of the first 2 episodes of The Proud Family Louder and Prouder. I do like the original show. Both the humor and just that whole family dynamic works for me. But last week I experienced the premiere of Louder and Prouder as a huge downgrade. But now is not the time to dwell in the negativity of that. If you want to know my reaction to episodes 1 and 2, it's linked in the top right if you want to watch that next. But this episode actually takes its time and its moments to tell a story about being true to
Man, it's just great being right all the time. I know he's basically just saying what I said, but it really just shows I know what I'm talking about. And, well, it's not like everything he says is right, but hey, at least we both know what makes a good episode and a good plot of Proud Family in general. I'm hoping you guys get what I mean.
yourself, about standing up for yourself despite parental pressures, actually has 2 characters that learn from each other in a surprising way. It's an episode where I even laughed a couple of times. Now, how did this happen?
For those who don't know, this is Kareem and this is Penny, the 2 characters he was talking about.
Hello fellow Disney Plus watcher, I am excited to talk about Disney Plus with you today. New here? Why not click these 2 buttons if you love Disney Plus as much as I do? Welcome. I got a few comments on the previous video from last week that said, honestly, you don't get the show, man. It's made for Generation Z, it's supposed to be this way. Well, I'm sorry.
I hate that. Like, just cause it's made for a new generation doesn't mean it can't be enjoyable. Like, Proud Family was made back in 2002 for older audiences, and I still laughed a lot at the jokes back then because they didn't heavily focus on pop culture, unlike nowadays. And they still make good storylines. Just because it's quote-unquote Gen Z does not mean we have to settle with laziness and garbage. Like, look what's on the screen right now. No one thinks this is funny.
I appreciate the criticism, I do, I can take it, but this is more like it. This feels like Proud Family. Sure, not every moment is earned, this stuff isn't perfect, but for a show that is a sequel to a 20-year-old cartoon, episode 3 called It All Started with an Orange Basketball comes pretty close.
Yeah, I like how the title of the episode's based on one of the Wizard's main lines. He says, with how he became rich and basically owns the city.
So just fair warning here, I do feel the need to discuss spoilers. We're gonna break the episode down. If you haven't seen it, please come back later. Awesome. The episode starts and we see Oscar coaching his basketball team during a game against the Wizard Kelly All-Stars. And finally we get some Sugar Mama humor that made me chuckle, where she throws a bucket of popcorn at her son and makes his team out for a bunch of punks. You're welcome, son, she adds. Like, Sugar Mama still loves you, Oscar, but she doesn't let that affect her strong opinion on who to root for on the field. Now, the game goes well, but his best player, Michael, injures himself, and now Oscar's not so sure if he can make it to the finals. And Wizard Kelly does make sure to rub it in his face. He proceeds to show off all his all-star players and assures Oscar, you're never gonna make it, man. And also, given that Oscar's team just a few minutes ago stole the other team's pizza, the rivalry is already on. Nice little detail that Oscar's team is called the Snackers of all names. Coincidence? Maybe?
Maybe not.
Well, I know
No, it's not.
No, we also have the name Proud Snacks, where it's probably based on, right? Okay, Oscar and Wizard Kelly place a bet. If Kelly's All-Stars win, Oscar gets to live like him for a week. The fame, money, expensive cars, everything. And if the Snackers win, Wizard has to live like him for a week. And this was personally my biggest laugh of the episode. Oscar sums up his life as poverty, tears, and Sugar Mama, with Sugar Mama clearly being the worst of all evils.
Yeah, their relationship's a bit rocky and quite questionable with how his own mother treats him. She kind of treats him like garbage and favors her other son, which is Bobby. Sorry for that pause, had to wait till that loud noise stopped.
In the meantime, Penny's having a great time with Kareem, who is definitely not Penny's boyfriend, unless Oscar can use that to his advantage. This scene was great. It highlights definitely...
It's so weird when they play a real-life movie or show on the TV when they don't feel like animating it. I mean, it's a good saving of money, but it's just so awkward to see and out of place.
Not Penny's boyfriend, unless Oscar can use that to his advantage. This scene was great. It highlighted Oscar's selfish hypocrisy in under 2 minutes. And this episode combined...
Yeah, Oscar is kind of a bad character like his own mother, but you can kind of defend him because he's not as bad or not nearly as bad as his own mother, and most of the reason he's bad could be just summed up to his kind of abusive childhood with his mother who clearly has favoritism over one son, hardly notices he existed and all that. It's played for laughs in the original, which I kind of had a problem with, and still now, but yeah. There's one scene in the original where Oscar basically sums up all the time she had with his mom, and all of them were just her leaving him behind while she took his son to places and stuff and spent time with him, as well as his dad. Even left him alone at home while they went on vacation with her favorited son and husband.
The familiar "no boyfriend until you marry" and "Penny, you're gonna do me a favor and I'm actually gonna exploit you to the bone in the process." It's quintessential Proud Family, if you would ask me. And the episode actually throws a bit of a curveball. I thought they're gonna go with Oscar using Penny's boyfriend for the game, ultimately culminating in Kareem choosing Penny, with Oscar realizing at the end, even though the Snackers lose because of Kareem bailing on the game, seeing Penny happy would warm his heart. Happily ever after. It's not the game, it's the people you care about. But nope, it's actually a little more thought out and an even better storyline than that. Penny's actually the one good at basketball, and Oscar apologizes for pressuring her boyfriend into playing.
I kind of like it, like, it's a nod back at when she was good at football, but like, that was football. It's kind of like pushing it a bit with her being also so happily good with basketball. It would have made more sense if back in the original they said she was just generally good at sports.
Basketball and proceeds to do the exact same thing to her own daughter. What a selfish prick Oscar is sometimes, right? This scene is...
Yeah, but he kind of made a bet with the Wizard. I mean, you know, lose basically everything if he loses. Would have been nice if he just broke it down with their daughter. I mean, she might say no, but like, come on. You could help out your father once in a while. Not saying I'm excusing everything Oscar does, but trust me, if you see the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, his life is basically agony.
Is pretty wholesome. It references Penny's sports history, including football and her childhood. It makes Oscar look even more desperate, and you know what's great about this scene? This often hectic show is just pausing for some character development, a little bit of soft piano music in the background, reminiscing the past. Now remember, we got piles of this.
No! God, please, no!
Yep. It kind of was quite emotional, like showing her in her youth and stuff and her dad taking care of her. But then it also just like cut the piano music and went to straight like fast-paced rock music or something of her just scoring a lot as a kid, and it went into that Looney Tunes-esque frantic stuff. You'll know if you see the episode.
No! No! No!
So, Penny finally agrees, goes to play basketball, outplaying everyone in the team. She's really good, but as we see in a lot of sports stories, she loses her...
Also, he's not going to mention that one part. That is integral to the story.
herself, and most importantly, she doesn't have time for Kareem anymore. And as he slowly grows out of the picture, La Cienega has the opportunity to flirt with him and conquer him and pretend like she reads books. This bit was funny, by the way. Maya just subtly turning the book around, like she doesn't care about your whole conquest to win the heart of Kareem, but you're not gonna look like a fool doing it.
Yeah, like, come on, Maya could have been better. And she's usually trying to go for the common good, but, like, it's the fact she doesn't even care that she's, like, stealing Penny's boyfriend and stuff. And is lying about it. Also, I did not notice that she is taller than Penny.
So then there's a moment where I was like, wait, what the fuck? What did I miss? Suddenly we see Penny play a game between Earth and Saturn, facing an octopus. Like, whoa, hold on. Stuff like this, it reminds me.
Again, it's the Looney Tunes-esque frantic stuff that they keep shoving in this show, and I really do not like it. It's not funny or anything, and only 2-year-olds are gonna like that stuff. Again, just makes me really appreciate how Proud Family back in 2002, I keep messing up what I'm gonna say, back in 2002 was grounded and down to earth.
Of the singing panda from episode 1, it's one random bit in an otherwise relatively grounded show in the sense that it's about a family, a group of friends, basketball games, worldly stuff. And then for 30 seconds, she's playing a game against Saturn just to make the point, look how far Penny got. I know it's not canon in story that she's literally on Saturn, it's just hyperbolic to get the story point across, but stuff like this within this show doesn't really land for me. But where are we? We get to another.
I think Penny might be an octopus too. Look at that arm.
Cross, but stuff like this within this show doesn't really land for me. But where are we? We get to another wholesome scene where we just see Penny practicing basketball. The gentle piano music is back, and this show needs scenes like this. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Isn't this by far the best episode? Doesn't this feel much better? So Kareem comes in, confronts Penny with, hey yo, what the, I haven't seen you in a bit. I thought you didn't like basketball. And you see, that changes something in Penny immediately. And then here's the core message. You don't have to do this, Penny. Don't let your father pressure you. And Penny responds with, hey, you're throwing my own words back into my face? Which comes full circle, and I love this about the episode. The main moral learned within the story is wisdom both Penny and Kareem already have, but pass on to each other 3 times. So in the beginning, it's Penny saying, yo, Kareem, you don't have to do this. You don't have to listen to my stupid pushy father.
And then it comes around and he says the same thing to Penny, who is now getting pushed by her father to do basketball. Again, would be nice if he just explained to her why. But yeah, it's nice. It's character development, and it's teaching a nice moral to not let any peer pressure tell you what to do.
The second time it's right here, and it gets a little more serious because Penny's neglecting him and it eats on her. She's drifting away from who she is, right? And then the third time, it's at the end where Penny sees the same thing happening to him, but then with La Cienega demanding his company. I thought this stuff between La Cienega and Kareem was some throwaway plotline just...
It was conflict that never really was conflict. It wasn't really developed. There was only like 2 scenes with them holding hands and didn't really mean anything.
To show that because of Penny's absence, Kareem's up for grabs, but it was actually a way to throw the wisdom passed onto Penny back at him for the 3rd time. You know what I mean? It's a passing of the torch, passing of the wisdom, and La Cienega was the thing that put that in motion.
I guess in a sense, so it wasn't entirely pointless, but yeah.
For the 3rd time. And wrap it all up. This episode was about 2 people growing up, reminding themselves of their own critical thinking and judgment, 2 caring teenagers very different from one another, carrying the same values over to each other. No, this episode wasn't perfect. It's still definitely still not as funny as the original show, and that whole Earth versus Saturn was very misplaced in my experience, but this was miles better than we got last week, to be honest. Overall, after 3 episodes, do I like the show? No. The 2 episodes before this were too
Are loving the brutal honesty. But hey, we need more of that nowadays. Yeah, and yeah, what he said, every Wednesday, they release a new episode.
Infantile in my experience to give this show a pass for now. Not gonna go all into that, my thoughts are on the record if you're interested. I'm so happy at least this show got better, cautiously optimistic for next week. Cautiously. What about you? Was it a huge improvement or did
I wouldn't say huge, but it certainly was an improvement. Like, they went back and did, the usual plot lines they did back in the original and focused on that rather than just petty and garbage jokes. They stayed grounded mostly. There's only that one time with the octopus and Penny basically becoming an NBA All-Star when she was like a baby as a joke in the flashback sequence. He didn't show it, but if you watch the episode, there is. And how it focuses on how peer pressure can really, well, it's pretty self-explanatory, pressure you into doing stuff you don't want to do and make you make hasty choices, like when Kareem was almost getting wooed by La Cienega. So it's a pretty decent episode, I say. So let's now go on to the fourth one.
Did you already like the
Forgot I already paused it.
Last week's episode 3 surprised the out of me after those irritating first 2 episodes.
That's my opinion!
Where I honestly couldn't find the spirit of Proud Family within Proud Family, if that makes sense. So overall, I was so curious where I was gonna land with this episode, because we got 2 I passionately disliked for its honestly bad humor, weird cuts.
Why does he keep showing this menace to society on screen?
Scenes and whatever, and the week after we got this sweet and honest story with Penny and her boyfriend Kareem and all that. Today we're talking in details about episode 4, Father Figures, and we're also gonna ask the question, do I think this show is gonna be good overall? Hello fellow Disney Plus watcher, it's nice to talk with you about Disney Plus today. If you love Disney and Disney Plus as much as I do and enjoy talking about it, why not click the subscribe button to stay up to date and give it a like so that more people can find this video. Thanks. Okay, we're going to get into spoilers. Are you ready for that? Good. One of the best things about this episode was Oscar Proud. He's classic Oscar, and we get that from him right from the opening scene. So Oscar needs a loan for his ambitious plan to create a whole new amusement park that he calls Snackland, fittingly named after the Proud Snacks brand, and I guess expanding your brand with an amusement park is a smart thing to do, right?
Well, if it works.
So I guess, hey,
Awkward prequel trilogy of Star Wars clip.
good job, Oscar. Good idea. Although where Oscar is not doing a good job is his money managing. He's in debt and can't afford to make his dream happen.
How can he manage money if he doesn't have any? Like, dude, he cannot sell a single snack because his whole shtick in the show, and the previous one is because he sucks at making snacks and they're all garbage. So he is broke and heavily relies on his wife to get him money.
So he's requesting a loan from his good friend and neighbor Felix. And he's not even kindly asking for it. I mean, I chuckled when he already had the contract ready to go before he even finished his sentence. Oscar just assumes he'll help him out, but
Yeah. Like, I can give Oscar some respect, though, kind of, for still being confident in himself, but, like, it's amazing how he can still act high and mighty despite not being able to sell one bag of snacks.
Felix not having it, he's not cooperating, but Oscar begs him, "You're my last hope, man." There hasn't been a moment in the show before where I actually had to pause the episode and just keep laughing for a minute, because, okay, so Oscar's whining about the money, right? So what follows is absolutely savage, because Felix opens up about how insecure he's starting to feel about his wife getting promoted at work and getting a very good-looking, muscular man as her work partner, and Oscar is like, "Oh my, sorry about that, pal. Talk to me. What's bothering you?" So Felix elaborates on how he doesn't recognize Sunset, his wife, anymore. How she's now never late for work, she dresses better, is happier than before, and that makes Felix super insecure about what the meaning of that is because he hasn't changed himself. So here's a guy in a bit of a low, in a self-identity crisis, if you want to take it that far. So what is Oscar's response? It could mean the fact that she's making twice as much money as you do now. And that is already a bit insensitive, as if money's the thing that makes someone truly happy. But
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with Oscar. He doesn't really have anything and just only cares about that. So the only thing that comes to his mind why someone would be unhappy would be money, because he's unhappy because he doesn't have any money. He can't even get a few cents. Like, I know I'm going on about that, but just, geez, that's probably why.
But we can understand Oscar's head going there, right? But the thing he immediately remembers after he says that is, wait a minute, is Sunset home?
Oh, snap!
I mean, I lost it there. He's so ready to go as low as to ask a friend's wife for a big loan. That's his incentive here, and not even being sensitive about it. I couldn't. I had to pause the episode for half a minute. Like, not kidding. It was savage, man. Savage. I also really liked the moment where Oscar asks, "Come on, man, what does Barry, Sunset's work partner, have that you don't?" And Sunset then opens the door, revealing the blonde, muscular man, and Oscar just spits his orange juice back into his glass. I love
That's disgusting.
it. In the meantime, Penny and friends are trying to win a competition held by Wizard Kelly to get tickets for a Pink Eye concert. Pink Eye is a teen celebrity pop star in this episode. We see a lot of in-universe celebrities in this show, so hey, why not another character? And this Pink Eye actually made me chuckle a bit, I gotta say. Bit of a stereotype, but the long-sleeved, baggy trousers, high as a kite millennial caricature we got here was quite amusing, even if we only see her for a minute. But I gotta say, Penny's story is by far not the most interesting they focused on, I think. In fact, well, I do really appreciate the story about sticking up for a brother and sister bullied for having two dads, which is obviously out of their control, which means it's plain discrimination. I felt the story isn't that good whenever we follow Penny here. And
Yeah, the show heavily follows Penny. I get she's the main character, but that doesn't mean every episode has to be about her. Many shows have done this. It's not kind of a new thing. This is kind of old, which is why I don't get why they always have to make every episode centric Penny in a way, which they do the more episodes we see, but geez, they should have focused more on the prejudice of them having two dads and stuff like that.
And I'm especially talking about the scene between Penny and her friends and the Gross Sisters. I kind of tune out when I see the Gross Sisters on screen anyways. I mean, they're one of my least favorite characters in the original show too. But here we see them once again doing their thing, harassing people, in this case Maya. Penny comes in, calls them out for bullying Maya because of her two dads.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The Gross Sisters are like Oscar. They only care about money. They're not bullying her because they have two dads. Even Penny should know that with her 2 IQ.
Which they don't, ouch, they just want money from her. And then a minute later, Maya's dad and La Cienega's mom drive by. La Cienega almost spills the beans about Maya being bullied, but Penny stops her. She wants to keep that between them, I guess. And after Maya's dad leaves, one of the Gross Sisters commend them for not being a snitch. Then Penny gives a speech about nothing, about literally nothing, like they even play it for laughs. After this incident, Penny's apparently got...
For context, she just talks about random stuff, like for like half a minute she goes on about talking about how cake is better than ice cream cake. I mean vice versa. Ice cream cake's better than cake. Basically, that's part of what she was talking about. Nothing important, and it was a joke.
Not much to say about what just happened, except if you consider others, their feelings,
Blah, blah, blah.
and ice cream cake and Beyonce,
Blah, blah, blah.
like they make a whole joke about this scene essentially being about nothing. So, haha, funny. I don't know. It's the conclusion to a scene that started with the character Maya, which is a really central figure in this episode because she's the victim of discrimination, and that's a big deal. So why play that core story down in this scene and have the Gross Sisters just trying to get money off of her and then make a joke about
The episode should have been more centric about how Maya and KG felt about the discrimination against them and how they're bullied. Instead, it's only like a second scene, a half-minute scene of just people in the hallway staring at them, and then they just wrote some graffiti on their locker about your dads don't belong here, and Maya just ignores it and just, that's the end of the scene. Doesn't go any more in depth after that, which is kind of sad. Like, show could definitely do better when tackling topics like this, but they choose not to, instead to go for more of humor and pleasing of audience just because they have an episode that's kind of centered around that for like half a minute. Whatever gets in the money, that's Disney's motto, most likely.
Penny speeching about nothing. It's confusing, right? I want to ask you, hit me up in the comments, what was this scene?
And it is sad too, because most people will probably say this is the best episode ever just because it talks about the topic, not even in good depth, just says it for a bit and that's it. Which is sad how people would settle for mediocrity, because we can get better. Like, come on.
About I don't get it. You could take it out and nothing happens, like except maybe Maya saying thanks for sticking up for me, I guess. This whole scene didn't land for me and I don't get it. It felt half-assed and not connected. And by the way, Penny's group of friends, I mean, I was never really into them within the...
Dejanay is awful. She was in the original and she still is now. She's the one who rats about Maya having two dads in the first place, and that starts the conflict of the episode, and she doesn't get punished in any way, shape, or form. It's just played as a joke.
This show, but I also didn't really bother having a problem with them because they're not so much the focus, and Penny's dynamic with her family is 200% more interesting anyways. But they were real dickheads in this episode. Like, Zoe's I guess the nicest one, but especially Dejanay was just devoid of any humanity at this point. I mean, she's the start of all the drama. She's the whole reason shit hits the van in the first place in this episode, and the whole school knows about Maya and her brother having two fathers, and we never see her truly realizing what drama she brought upon Maya and her brother. It's just skipped over for laughs. Oops, sorry Margot, I might have accidentally tweeted to everyone about Maya, clearly setting the scene for them to get radicalized, but it's totally not my fault. I agree with
Okay.
this statement, by the way. Visit the channel, you know? That's forced. Back to Dejanay. I mean, she is in a way worse than La Cienega, because La Cienega is not really pretending to be a good friend. Dejanay is. She's like a secret villain, a terrible, rotten, damaged person masquerading as a best friend with her little snappy comments.
A little comment.
I'm overthinking it, but I think you know what I mean. I sound a bit salty about this episode, do I? I still liked the other side of the episode. That is Oscar and his plan to fund Snackland, trying to get a loan, but struggling with his prejudice about gay people. Now, some people might ask, is this too woke? Is this virtue signaling? I would immediately suggest no here, because I actually really liked his arc in this episode, and it does mean something for his character in universe, so I won't just call this topic virtue signaling and then go on your day. Just wanted to get that out of the way. I don't think this is too woke or anything. His appointment scene where he goes to the bank, getting dressed, redressed, dressed again, like trying to adjust to what he believes Maya's father, Mr. Jenkins' bias will be about him. I mean, Oscar has a particular view about the world that everyone has to fit in the stereotype everybody else expect them to be. That's why he sees, hey brother from the same color, let's dress like the stereotypical African tribal shaman type character.
Yeah, I didn't like that scene that much. It wasn't funny, and it guess it just explains how Oscar's character is, but like, come on. Though it does talk about how he really sells out to the point of stereotyping himself if it means getting a loan, which is quite sad.
So he sees me for who I want him to think I am. I love that this episode is about Oscar trying to let go of an age-old, ultimately unfair prejudice, and that we get that foreshadowed here. Now I'm gonna propose this. Oscar's storyline about letting go of stereotypical worldviews is even better because of the scene where Penny is talking to him about, it's not fair, why are Maya and her brother getting bullied? They can't help that their upbringing, that wasn't their choice. And Oscar responds with, well, you just learned an important lesson, baby girl. Life ain't fair. And that's also kind of true, right? So
It's true, but I like how he twisted it, the meaning of that, into basically being a corrupt meaning within the context of the story.
even though we're all sided with Penny here, I guess I was like, oh snap, I guess Oscar's right too. Now he's not right for forbidding Penny to hang out with them, which he does too, but I would support Penny all the way on her quest for justice, but some people will just never change, how unfair their views might be. And that scene made me appreciate his character more when he ultimately comes to realize that he unjustly stigmatized Jenkins and Barry's relationship. The broken eyeballs thing, where his view on the world is literally broken, is a tad obvious of a metaphor, but I kinda liked it. I didn't care.
When I saw it, I didn't know it was supposed to be a symbolic metaphor. I thought it was just because he was so disgusted at the sight of seeing them.
I actually really appreciate the small visual things or moments in this episode, and one standout moment was an original Proud Family flashback. That was bold. I never realized how different the animation styles really
Really? You didn't? It's quite staggering.
are until I saw this little bit placed in the episode, but I appreciate the recognition of the old animation style. They could as well have done a redo of the scene, but they didn't. Or the 1 week later title card transition, where the car drives over the text and it disappears. The small touches make this show something a little bit more than right? It helps to have the little details there. By the way, good that this Snackland is being teased as a continuous thread throughout this show. I think that helps a weekly release show like this, keeping the momentum and all that. Curious to see what they're gonna do with that. Oh, and I'm curious.
They're not. Snackland's not going to be important in any way. Like, it's going to be immediately banned after episode 6 comes out, which I'm really disappointed about, but we're going to get into that some other time.
If Oscar died or not. Kidding. He's gonna live, although it kinda shouldn't. He's drowning in toxic waste. That's stretching it a bit.
It's pretty funny when you think about it.
This wasn't a great episode, but yeah, it was okay. It made me hate Dejanay and Penny's friends in general. Penny's side of the story this week rings hollow for me too. On the other hand, we have Oscar's arc, where he's trying to please everyone, cram himself into a stereotype, only to get his dream realized, all the while coming to the realization he just unjustly stigmatizing and hurting people. That whole storyline was cool. So far, I hated 2 episodes, really liked one of them, and thought this one was okay. Guess this show will be up and down quality. Let's see what next week does. We still have 6 episodes to go, but this probably be that kind of show that does great one week and then makes you roll your eyes in the next. Or maybe I'm too whimsical and all over the place to just casually enjoy a show. Right? I'm thinking about wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching. I am curious now, what did you think of this episode? Be sure
Yeah, so basically how I felt about it was basically what he said. I think we have enough time to do one more. Yeah, let's do one more.
I can't tell the difference between my waking.
But yeah, how I felt about the first episode was, yeah, it is okay. Like, this is what I mean when I say it's rocky. There is 2 bad, 1 good, and 1 okay. And this episode is just weird. And we're gonna see from this point on. I feel like they should have, again, done more with how Oscar's prejudice was. It's like he instantly changes from not being fond of the 2 dads to liking them again. And I felt they should have humanized them more, because this is what I mean when I say they kind of put people that are the minority on a pedestal, which we should try and normalize them and treat them equally like everyone else should be. And someone else has talked about this, but yeah. Basically, in the episode, they make the 2 dads basically the most perfect people to exist simply because, you know, they're part of the LGBT community. Like, they're nice, they're good at cooking, they have excellent jobs, generally everyone likes them. I wouldn't be surprised if the episode was any longer. They introduced that they also cared about the squirrels and stuff, you know, stuff like that. Should humanize them more, saying that people who are LGBT can be bad and good. But I don't know, just saying stuff like that, or at least showing one person who is, instead of making them like Jesus. Not like hating on anyone in the community or any minority, but I'm just saying we should be going towards more of humanizing than pedalizing. That's not even a word, but I'm basically saying putting people on a pedestal of a certain group. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that one, so let's continue.
Life and dreams.
sorry, it's where my mind went, because we're getting Moon Knight this very same month. And then the scene like this, I don't know. Hello, fellow Disney Plus watcher. It's nice to talk with you about Disney Plus today. If you love Disney and Disney Plus as much as I do and enjoy talking about it, why not click the subscribe button to stay up to date and give it a like so that more people can find this video. Thanks. Maybe some of you remember what I said last week. By the way, good that this Snackland is being teased as a continuous threat.
Again, it's not. Trust me.
Throughout this show. I think that helps a weekly release show like this, keeping the momentum and all that. Curious to see what they're gonna do with that. So I was praising the idea about how
it makes me wonder why they even teased it, because it's gonna be quickly forgotten once episode 6 came out.
Cool it is that we seem to have something set up as a longer through line of the show. Snackland, Oscar's big project to branch out his Proud Snacks empire. Well, we were wrong, or at least I was wrong. It all happens here, baby. We're going to talk spoilers for the 5th episode of Proud Family Louder and Prouder. Are you ready for that? Okay, I apparently totally misunderstood the purpose of the final scene from episode 4 last week. This episode starts with Snackland totally in operation, and what's quite amusing here is that Oscar's reckless way of handling things is being represented in the attractions. Thing is, they're all dangerous, and not only that, Oscar is being sadistic about it. He even introduces his prime attraction, Sugar Mama's Drop of Doom, as being plain dangerous, and he's proud of it. Well, of course, Sugar Mama then reacts to that and forces him to take a test ride on his own ride, and that doesn't end well. I thought this idea of showing Oscar's complete carelessness in these attractions is quite funny. But then, the rest of the episode happens. So let's dive in. This is once again an episode where Oscar takes advantage of his daughter. He organizes an event to...
Noticing a pattern, anyone?
attract customers to his amusement park because nobody's coming. He recruits Penny and her friends as to play as the group LPDZ and calls it a reunion show. LPDZ was a little pop group Penny performed with along with her gals Dejanay, La Cienega, and Zoe, of course.
Have to pretend because I know you are my best friends.
And now it's time for another show to save Oscar's entrepreneurship. Oh my god, Oscar, you're the worst father ever, but never change. Of course, he arranged it behind his daughter's back. Penny is hesitant, but hey, she doesn't have any say in the matter. But here comes the twist to it all. Apparently, puberty.
This is Bobby, people. Also, one thing I like in the show is that, at least with one character, this being Michael, they change his outfit every episode. And it makes it realistic, but not with anyone else, just Michael.
Hit nasty, and Penny's voice is like a raspy old man's voice that the characters associate with Tone Loc.
West Side ain't no joke, baby.
So in any way, the first scene where Penny and her gals are rehearsing under the guidance of Bobby, when this is discovered, everybody around Penny agrees, you can't sing like this, girl, you gotta quit. Now I gotta be honest with you, Proud Family can be pretty silly, and that's fine. I don't like it all that much when the show's going all science fiction or completely bonkers. I don't think that suits the family dynamic of the show, but oh my, this didn't work. At first though, I burst into laughter when Penny's singing voice was revealed to be that of a 60-year-old man who's been smoking his whole life or
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
something, but it was more of a... So yeah, not a good laugh. The biggest problem with it is how it was used to conclude Penny's arc in this episode. Because what does Penny go through ultimately? She gets told that she can do anything. Despite her obvious handicap she has to deal with. The episode is telling...
She doesn't even get her singing voice back in the episode. She just starts singing and everyone suddenly loves her because... In the beginning of the episode, when they first went on the first singing... I don't know what to call it. I don't know much about how singing groups work. But when they first performed in front of an audience, everyone threw stuff at Penny because her voice was awful. And then the second time after someone told her that she can do anything, she still sings with that awful voice and everyone just loves her all of a sudden. It doesn't even make sense.
Telling her, and ultimately us the audience of course, you can do anything no matter what. And the idea here is that Penny's going through puberty, right? I mean, this voice is temporary, I'd imagine, because of the changes her body is going through right now. I might be wrong in assuming that, so hit me up down below if I'm off base here, but I think the whole point is that this voice is a phase. So telling Penny, you can do this right now, no matter what, even though her voice is currently 3 octaves lower and out of tune and simply ruins the harmonics of the song, I know, I get it, it's a message all throughout entertainment for as long as we can remember. You can do it. That motivates us and we want something uplifting in our stories to look up to. But to be honest, don't do that if that's obviously the wrong lesson to learn here and it doesn't fit the story. You know what a good moral would have been for this one? You can't always do anything, and that's okay. If you work hard, do the things you're good at, do the things that make you happy, and if life then
Please, expecting any show or a show of this caliber to the most to be grounded and be realistic and to, you know, mention anything negative would be ludicrous to them, because apparently everything has to be positive and disgusting.
throws you a curveball, sometimes you just have to go with the flow. Keep working hard. Take 3 singing classes a week. I mean, work your way up. I mean, do all you can, and it will grow you as a human. It's just not all Fantasyland.
I spend too much time in Fantasyland.
Yeah, I'm still vibing on that great Ms. Marvel trailer that came out yesterday, but I don't want to get off topic. So I thought this episode was a little out of taste because it portrayed the characters, like Trudy at first and later Penny's friends, as insensitive bullies, casting Penny out for no good reason. But there was a really good reason. How rude of you guys to do the absolute necessary to avoid a disaster of a concert. And then also, the episode paints Penny's puberty voice as something to embrace. And granted, I guess I see the point there. I think the idea of have fun, live life to the fullest, even if you're not perfect and your voice sounds like a paper shredder, keep going, have fun, be yourself. That was the energy the episode was trying to leave you with. And that was clear to me. But for me, it was out of taste because I need someone to slap Penny in the face and tell her to wake up. And actually, I'm putting it up for Penny's friends, the complete parasites they usually are, but no, I honestly approve of them bailing on Penny, seeing as they're under a lot of pressure to get the show going in time. And Penny's got a life lesson to learn, y'all. And it's not you can do anything, anytime, any way you want. That is a spoiled message in this episode, and it doesn't work for me. As Oscar said in last week's episode, life ain't always fair. And this 5th episode of the series was a bit messy overall. I still really dislike Bobby, and I find him quite annoying, and he was a big part of this one. Is it the point that he's annoying? Yes. Does that make him less annoying to me? Nah. Oscar was my favorite character this week. He's so desperate, he's trying to bribe customers into staying without them even paying.
Fuck, I hate when he rhymes.
He pays a guy to stay. I loved how low Oscar's low point was, but the way this...
Yeah, in this episode, he was really just being a jerk for no reason. I get he was finally becoming successful once in his life, because he was getting a lot of money and stuff, and people loved his amusement park. But he was just being super ignorant and such a jerk for no reason. Like, he really wanted everything to be perfect and stuff. Like, you're getting a lot of money. You don't need to. Like, he basically was rich in the episode. But he just kept pushing everyone for no reason. Could probably explain this better, but that's just putting it in blunt terms, basically. Because in the episode, he's basically what D plus Thoughts is saying, super insensitive and just ignoring how everyone feels, including when he was going to pay a super famous singer to sing on set for $50. 50.
This episode played out felt a bit off. So his park gets closed after a media controversy. BB and Cece were running around loose, so because of Oscar, a father and son got hurt in Sugar Mama's ride, so park's closed, we think. Then his customers return, requesting to get on the rides again, but Oscar's like, sorry, park's closed. He literally says that. But the word of mouth spread, everybody's in on Snackland now, that just got closed. I do like that the very thing that defines Oscar's character in this episode is exactly the thrill the public is looking for, meaning the sheer danger of all these.
See what I mean when I say he's basically rich in the episode, yet he wants everything to be perfect, and is making everyone try to squeeze as much money out of everything as possible.
Attractions, living on the edge, with all his stupidity, Oscar stumbles upon a big success. People like the irresponsibly dangerous thrill rides. But then my question, where's the court order trying to reclose this amusement park? Why is the closing of the park and the media controversy a minor inconvenience that just happens and the park just opens again when there seems to be a lot of demand? From here, this episode starts to pile on extra things that did a little too much in my opinion. Like, we already followed 2 storylines, Penny's and Oscar's Snackland shenanigans and all that. There was so much happening already. Lizzo gets introduced, the security guard is a whole deal in the episode, Oscar is in over his head and tries to portray his persona of Snack King he made up, and all the drama between Penny and her friends ensue, and it's all happening in the same spot. One thing takes up more time than the other, but all of this is in motion, and suddenly this new element is thrown into the mix where the CEO of Fritos is laying claim on the IP that is Snackland, and she confronts Oscar with the fact that Snackland is a stolen idea. Fritoland is the original concept, and Oscar is not the owner of that. This is the second thing that happens surrounding Snackland that should be a direct reason to have it closed, but that doesn't happen again. Fine, but this element was just a throwaway minute in the episode and didn't lead to anything? Was it just a little amusing bit that shows how hard Oscar has to defend his amusement park? Yeah, but I would have liked a little more direction here. This episode was a little mishmash of slightly amusing moments, some visual cool things, like I like this image of Oscar, it's very Looney Tunes-like. I like La Cienega's snarky...
Yeah, small Looney Tunes moments like that, I'm fine with character expressions, most of the time at least. But like, when you have stuff with like a talking bear and Penny playing against Saturn, against an alien octopus, yeah, that's when they're pushing it too much.
Comment, I wanted to maximize her humiliation after the rest of the group finds out that nobody told Penny she's out of the group. Little moments here and there, but overall this episode felt out of taste to me. Too much happens in the middle part, too many secondary characters get introduced, like Lizzo's bodyguard felt lame, the whole Fritoland was just a throwaway scene and not a real threat to the future of Snackland. The episode doesn't really show us real consequences. We see the media talking about the big controversy. Next scene, everybody's still lining up to get tickets because of word of mouth. Do I sound confused? I really hated Penny's and Lizzo's forced friendship, and the moral of the story, as I explained, rings completely hollow for me. Maybe not the very worst of the season so far, but it's down there. I might be overthinking some things, I guess that's kind of my thing, but that's the way it is. And by the way, making this amusement park happen was maybe a fun idea to have as a through line of the show, and that was what I would have expected, but that's not a critique on this very episode. Hey, last thing I want to mention, thanks everybody who voted on this poll last week. The verdict's out. I will put the effort in a video that it needs. I won't rush into my productions just to have that a little bit sooner for you guys. Thanks for everybody's response, and of course the poll's still up. I'm thinking about wrapping.
And that's it for this stream. Hope you guys enjoyed. But first, before I end it, so basically I have 2 awful episodes, one good, one okay, and one that's just straight weird and out of tune. It's hard to place any rating because there's just too much happening in the episode, but with little substance. Basically as wide as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle. Like, the episode could have been in more depth about Penny's voice and how she was losing herself, in a sense. Like a part of her LPDZ, her singing group. And how she wanted to get her voice back and improve it again, fix it. But then they just told her that she can do anything, and suddenly everyone loves her awful voice now. Like, not to be mean, but like, it doesn't make sense in the context, and it's never brought up again. Also, Oscar being super awful in the episode didn't help his case of being, you know, a tragic kind of character. Like, I get he was getting successful for once, but he just continued to belittle everyone near him and forces his family to keep getting him money despite having piles of money from the people who love his dangerous rides. And aside from that, I think that's about it. This episode's just bizarre. I may review the rest some other time, but for now, see you guys, and be sure to check out my YouTube channel and Twitch.